Thank you all. That was, by the way, our color guard with members from the Auburn Police Department and Auburn Fire Department that took the time to come out and join us this evening. So thanks to them. Next on our agenda is the invocation by Father Mike Corral.
Almighty God, we thank you for this sacred season that we're celebrating now. We thank you for all the blessings that you have given to all of us, the blessings of a great country, a great state, and a great city, the city of Auburn. We thank you for all who serve in our community. Tonight we're honoring Sandy Amar, I feel, in a very special way, but we're also honoring those who also serve with her in the city council. They're making Auburn a place of beauty, a place of compassion, a place where neighbor talks to neighbor. So, dear Lord, tonight, help us to be generous, to give and not to count the cost, to fight and not to heed the wound, to toil and not to seek for rest, to labor and to look for no reward, save that of doing your holy will. We ask the Giuliani family that came here years ago, and I think Sandy is maybe one of the first mayors born in this town. The rest of us are blow-ins like her husband, but as blow-ins, we've always been made feel welcome. So may our city council continue to do their best for the city of Auburn and support Sandy as mayor. Amen.
Amen. Amen. As always with our meetings, first up on the agenda is public comment. This is the time provided so that persons may speak to the council on any items not on the agenda. Please make your comments as brief as possible. We've got a celebration to get to. The council cannot act on these items not on the agenda. However, the items will be automatically referred to staff. Do we have any members of the public who'd like to speak on items not on our agenda?
Yes, Mike Holmes, resident of Auburn, and I want to congratulate our fire department and the AMR folks for their assistance almost a week ago, in taking care of a patient from the fairgrounds out to the hospital for attendance. And I want to congratulate the fire department, particularly for their quick response and professional attitude and work. So thank you.
Thank you for those comments. Anybody else that would like to speak to the council on items not on our agenda tonight? All right, seeing none, I'll go ahead and close public comment. And our first item up are remarks from the outgoing mayor, which would be me. And I'll be brief, I promise. It's always fun, like I said, to get back to normalcy in this crazy world that we live in, and getting to see everybody face to face here tonight is part of that for me, getting back to the normal. When I started out my term as mayor, we had a lot of rebuilding to do at City Hall. We had a new city manager who had just started, had 4 months under his belt. He had a lot of rocks to turn over here at City Hall, and we found a lot of positions that also needed to be filled that thankfully, as of tonight, we've got many or most of them filled. So it's been a year of change for us here at City Hall. The big seats that were open were the admin services director and the economic development and planning manager. And both of those, I'm happy to say, have been filled by highly qualified folks. Nathan Bagwell is our new administrative services director. He's just recently brought to us a new software platform that will help streamline things not only for staff and payroll and timesheets and all of those types of activities, but it'll also extend beyond that to streamline processes for our customers that come into City Hall for permits, licenses, and what have you. So Nathan's jumped in with both feet, and we're excited to see the implementation of those efforts moving forward. Jonathan Wright is our new Economic Development and Planning Manager. And I'm happy to say just last Monday night, Nathan brought before us a very exciting, long-awaited, long-needed reform or update to our zoning code with a form-based code proposal. Long story short, it's going to make things easier for businesses that want to come into town and redevelop an area, build a new building, and settle a business here in town. It should also make things easier for our citizens in town. And again, like Nathan, Jonathan has jumped in with both feet. So welcome to both of you. Our chiefs that we have here in our small little community are absolutely amazing. Chief Canan is our police chief here in the city. He has, over the couple of years he's been with us, implemented some amazing programs. And I think probably at the forefront in my mind, because I interact with this group the most, is his interactions on the homeless and transient task force that Councilmember Berlant and I both created and served on together. Ryan has taken that program and run with it. He provides regular updates to this council so we have a better understanding of how we can help that specific population and get them to services that the county provides. And then, of course, our police chief, Spencer. Chief Spencer has created master plans to help reduce and manage the fire risks that we have on our eastern slope down into the canyon. We've had some close calls with fires down in the canyon, and the responsiveness and the efforts that Chief Canan and his staff has put forward with risk management and controlling, to the extent we can control, that huge risk that we all face if we live here in the city of Auburn, which is wildland fire. And he's done an incredible job developing, and I think, and Daniel Berlant's our expert on the council when it comes to fire-related issues, but I think he's put the city of Auburn kind of at the forefront of those very important efforts and master plans and programs that he's putting forward. And how could I not mention one of my favorites, Minjal Dean, who's our public works manager. Minjal's done a couple of things that I want to just touch on real quickly. He's created some innovative transit programs. First off was the shuttle down into the confluence. If you've not driven down there on a hot summer Saturday, it's miserable down there with all of the traffic and parking problems that are happening, people parking illegally, all of that. So Minjal was foresighted enough to bring a program to us. We obviously approved it. And now we're running transit services from specific points in the city where people can park down into the canyon on weekends. And it's turned out to be a great program. Hopefully it continues on to be a great program. And lastly, most recently, he's implemented a pilot program, which is a on-demand transit service. So if you need a ride to the grocery store in North Auburn, there's an app that you can download on your phone, and just like Uber or Lyft, you can go to a spot in the city, get picked up, and they drive you out there for a very, very reasonable rate. And the update that I'm very anxious to see to our pavement condition index for the city of Auburn, which will allow us to plan for the future and maintaining our roads. For those of us who drive on the roads every day, we've seen them continue to fall apart. So it's always been a high priority for me to keep moving forward on those fronts, and Minjal's done a great job with that. Couple other things that I wanted to mention that did happen this year. And I should point out, none of these items are because of one person or anyone on this council. These are all efforts that city management and staff came up with and took the horns with and ran with. We on the council got to hear these ideas and bless them and let them, get them funding or whatever they needed to move forward with those plans. So I'm not trying to take credit for any of the items I've mentioned. And I'll circle back to this in a moment here, but I just wanted to point out that it's the incredible staff that we've got that are doing all of these wonderful things in our community. I don't know if you guys have heard, I know some of the old timers in the audience will recall, but the Trash Can Council is a group that usually meets daily. I think they're out there every day, out in front of Depot Bay. And recently I had an opportunity to talk to them while grabbing a cup of coffee in the morning. And one of the themes that came out was, man, this city seems like it's running really, really smoothly. Whatever you're doing, keep doing it. And it's easy for me because I just say, you know, in my opinion, the role of local government is to get out of the way of businesses. Let the businesses do what the businesses need to do. And it seems to be working pretty well. You walk around town on a weekend or in an evening and town seems to be just humming. Yes, we've got that pandemic. Yes, there's masks. Yes, there's, issues that these business owners are I'm sure dealing with, but they're open. There's people in the stores. And that to me is the sign of a successful city. And again, I'm not taking credit for that. I'm just saying that it's great to see our city so vibrant, given what we're dealing with in this world. And then lastly, I want to spend a minute and just talk about my fellow council members. I do a lot of work in different jurisdictions in the 6-county area in Northern California here. I get to see and actually present in front of a lot of different city councils. I have to follow the politics in those councils so I can get projects approved for my clients. And I'm really impressed with this council. We have a council that has members with different expertise and backgrounds, and they bring that to the dais when we hear items, and it's very impressive. There are a lot of jurisdictions out there that don't have anything like that. In fact, they have kind of a fractured discourse and anger and rancor among them. So I'm very pleased, and it's been a privilege to serve with you all and serve as mayor this year. So thank you all for that. We don't get along and don't agree about everything, but what we do bring is a cordial and polite discourse. We're not necessarily agreeing, but we're not arguing and naming names and calling names and things like that. So with that, thank you all for a wonderful year. I appreciate the opportunity to serve with you on this council and to serve the community of the town that my wife and I so dearly love. And with that, I will wrap my comments. So thank you very much. Now we get to the good stuff. Council reorganization. First up is a nomination and selection of mayor. So I will declare the nomination open for the position of mayor of the city of Auburn.
Mr. Mayor, if I could, I know the suspense for most in the audience is killing them on who the nomination may or may not be tonight. But I would like to formally nominate Sandy Amara for the position of mayor. I'll note, while she may not be the first mayor born in the city of Auburn, her resume is incredibly long, and her dedication to not only the city, but the greater Auburn area truly is very lengthy. It had to be whittled down quite a bit. But for those of you who have worked with Sandy in different roles within the city, you or her time in Auburn may already know a lot of this. But for those of you who do not, I think it bears repeating if you don't mind, and if the council will indulge. As was mentioned, Sandy, born and raised in the city of Auburn, lifelong Auburn resident, long history of service, really utilizing her training as an attorney, a mediator, and educator. It should be noted, I often feel like she mediates amongst the 5 of us. And so it brings a very important role to the entire council. Sandy's maintained her law office in downtown Auburn for nearly 30 years, which has provided her the home base for many of her different levels of service that she's provided to the Auburn community. She served as a trustee for the Auburn Union School District from 1994 to 2006. In which she served as the board president for 3 terms. And we sometimes think being on the city council is difficult. Try being on a school board. So let alone be the board president 3 terms. So she's very active in facilitating a balanced budget. She was able to bring her experience, again, as was noted, as an attorney and mediator to the school district to resolve various issues. I'll note as a successor to her on the school board, there were no problems that were left to be dealt with because you and your colleagues during that era dealt with a lot. Sandy served on the Auburn Planning Commission for 4 years, has served as a board member for the Kids Community located here in Auburn for nearly 10 years, board president for the nonprofit Right Hand of Auburn, product of the Auburn schools, as was mentioned, going all the way through Placer High School. Again, this is really long, but I'll get to the good stuff. Well, I think the most important part, and I will assume, Sandy, assuming there's a second to this nomination, by the way, I don't want to be a foregone conclusion,
No seconds necessary.
then the nomination will stand and the vote will occur. But I think what's most important in all of this in your resume, Sandy, is your family. And along with your husband of 43 years, you've raised 4 children, and I know you'll have an opportunity to introduce them, but I know that your legacy lives on in the next generation. She sits on a whole host of committees. People don't realize that we come here twice a month, but in reality, the 5 of us have something almost every night. And Sandy's list of things goes all the way from A to I. There's school teachers in the room. You can do the math of how many that is, but it's a lot of different committees. So with that, I'll just end with Sandy, your passion for our community, your vibrancy of making Auburn a true destination. I think by far you are a good nomination tonight for the position of mayor.
Thank you very much for that. Without further ado, I'll go ahead and call the vote.
Councilmember Berlant.
Aye.
Amara.
Sure.
Dowden Calvillo.
Aye.
Adele Harris.
Aye.
And Mayor Stokely.
Absolutely, yes.
Congratulations.
And with
If
that,
you would like to meet your son, Andy Amara, down in front of the dais, you can
Well,
take your oath of office.
thank you, Amy.
Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Sandy Amara,
Do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
against all enemies, foreign and domestic.
I will bear true faith and allegiance
I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California.
and the Constitution of the State of California.
I take this obligation freely
I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion.
or purpose of evasion.
I will faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
I will faithfully discharge the duties of mayor
in and for the city of Auburn,
in and for the city of Auburn,
County of Placer,
County of Placer,
State of California,
State of California,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability. Thank you.
All righty, thank you for that. Next up is the nomination selection of vice mayor. And I would like to go ahead and make a motion and nominate Councilwoman Dowden Calvillo as vice mayor of the city of Auburn. And I have a very short presentation compared to what Daniel just read, so I'll be brief. We, as I mentioned in my remarks, we have the great fortune, I think, in this community to have people that come from very unique backgrounds and provide a different color to all of our conversations and debate that occurs in these chambers. And Alice has formerly served on the Auburn City Council and was a former mayor
Yes.
of the city of Auburn, and also was born and raised in the city of Auburn. So that seems to be a trend for us up here, except I'm a blowin'. I like that term. I'm a blowin' here. Coming with my wife, who was born and raised here in Auburn. We all come back because we love it. But Alice brings a kind of a legislative procedural background that is extensive. She left her elected spot here on the Auburn City Council because she was tapped on the shoulder by Governor Schwarzenegger's cabinet to come and serve with them down in Sacramento. She has a public sector job that keeps her very busy as well, a full-time mother. But her love, just as Daniel mentioned for Mayor Amara of this town, is deep. And it's with great pleasure that I made the motion, and I'll go ahead and call the vote.
Thank you.
Councilmember Spokely,
Yes.
Berlant,
Aye.
Dowden,
Aye.
Riddell Harris. Aye. And Mayor Amara.
Yes.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And now we will,
Are we done?
now we will
I have
administer.
the honor of swearing in Mayor Pro Tem Dowden Rowley.
Our city clerk will swear in our new vice mayor.
Raise your right hand. and repeat after me. I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Maryland against all enemies, foreign and domestic. I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Maryland. I take this obligation freely. Without any mental reservation. Or purpose of evasion. I will faithfully discharge the duties of mayor. In and for the city of Auburn. County of Placer. State of California. According to the best of my ability.
All right, next on our agenda is a presentation from the newly selected mayor. It's right here.
I would like to present this to Mayor Spokely, who has done a great job. This is just a small token of our appreciation for all you've done this year. You've been a fantastic mayor. You're very dedicated. And Auburn is truly blessed to have had you as mayor this past year. So here's. Thank you very much.
Seen this box before. I think it's a clock. Spoiler alert. All right, next on our agenda is the exchange of council seats. The newly selected mayor and council members will get rearranged up here, so it'll take just a moment.
I think we stay, but she said, I get a new. You get a new placard. I get a new placard. As best as I could, you were facing it. It just happened. I found mine.
First of all, I'm humbled and I'm honored to act as your mayor for our great city. I know that my dad is proudly looking down today and cherishing this moment as well. This is truly an honor that I will keep with me for the rest of my life. First, I want to thank my family members for their ongoing support. Dirk, my husband, and my children. My husband, Dirk Amara, has been my support, my soulmate, the guy that makes me laugh all the time. Thank you for your support. And for my children, Andy, thank you for swearing me in today. For Anthony, Lee, and Jason, who are here, Audrey, thank you very much. And for my sister, Marianne and Chris, who are here today, thank you for your support. I also want to recognize some people in the audience. First of all, Margarita Swan is here today and it's her birthday. So thank you, Margarita, for coming on your special day. And Supervisor Jim Holmes is here. Thank you, Supervisor Holmes. Tom Dwelly is here. Thank you, Tom. Mike Holmes, thank you for coming, Mike. And the list goes on and on. Thank you everyone for being here today. I truly appreciate your presence. I want to thank Father Mike Carroll. Thank you, Father Mike, for being an inspiration to myself and the community and for being here to offer a prayer on behalf of the city of Auburn. A special thanks for all our city council members. Mayor Spokley, two-time mayor for the city of Auburn. What an honor to be a vice mayor under Matt. He is truly a humble person, gives credit to others more than himself, and promotes consensus. Thank you, Matt, for all you taught me and all you did as mayor this past year. Daniel Berlant. Daniel started me on this journey. He appointed me to the Planning Commission, and then when asked if he wouldn't mind if I ran with him on the same year as him for city council, he not only said yes, but he encouraged and promoted me in every way. Daniel is a listener, despises conflict, which makes him a great city council member. Thank you, Daniel, for your support. Alice Dowden Cavillo. Alice has experience, knowledge, and works hard for our city. I love her spirit and her ability to articulate her position. Thank you for your support of me today. Rachel Rodell Harris, our newest member, has a strong voice, and her youth, background, and intellect are an asset to our community. Thank you, Rachel, for encouraging myself and the rest of the council to look at new perspectives. Collectively, I am blessed to work with this city council. Together, we are a great team. And I want to recognize, even though Mayor Spokley already did, I want to recognize some people who have been instrumental in helping our city. First of all, our city manager, John Donlevy. I admire his passion, his work ethic, and what he has accomplished thus far. I want to recognize our city attorney, Gary Bell, who's here today, and his lovely wife. Our city staff, including Clerk Amy Lynn, Economic Director Jonathan Wright, Financial Director Nathan Bagwell, Chief of Police Ryan Canan, Fire Chief Dave Spencer, and Planning and Public Works Manager Menjel Dean. Thank you all for your hard work and support. And additionally, I want to thank all of our volunteers for all the committees and associations, nonprofits, for which there are too many to mention. Thank you for all your hard work as well. And while trying to focus this last week on what I wanted to say today, earlier in the week, I stopped by the memorial bench for our late Mayor Bill Kirby, and that inspired me to say the following. So to this day, this year, my mayorship is not about me. It's about all of you. It's about working together and accomplishing great things for the city of Auburn. As the great Roman poet Virgil said, e pluribus unum, this is my theme, out of many one. We are stronger and more resilient than we are together than we are apart. This is the mindset I strive for. The present is a challenging time for many people, and not only economically, but also on a social and emotional level. I truly believe that the city of Auburn can serve as an example of how communities can band together to improve the quality of life for its citizens. I believe that meaningful change for improving quality of life occurs primarily at the local level. where political affiliation is irrelevant. And all of us on the council can focus on just getting things done with your input and without distractions. I'm excited for what we can achieve over the next year as a team, and I cherish the opportunity to be a part of that process as your mayor. I believe that my vision represents the collective vision of the council. Let's look at where we can go if we work together and open our hearts and minds. My overall vision is to continue to promote Auburn as a city where its residents have an opportunity to thrive. And in that regard, we need, number one, economic vitality. We need to look at diverse ways to increase our revenue in promoting retail, high-tech, finance, startups, hotels, and tourism industries. We have already made great strides with the help of our new economic director in attracting some sought-after businesses who have decided that Auburn is a prime business location. And in that regard, economic vitality can also be enhanced with bike and pedestrian-friendly streets and a thriving art and music community, all of which promote health and access to our businesses as well as emotional well-being. One of the many examples that comes to mind of the works in progress is the restoration of the historic Carnegie Library. Second, public safety. I want to advocate for resources to allow our dedicated police department to have designated officers walking the streets and have a community resource officer at Placer High School and E.V. Kane. Our youth are our future, and community-based police resources are essential to help direct our youth in a positive direction. Housing. Workforce housing is essential so that our teachers, police officers, firefighters, and other professionals can live in Auburn as opposed to down the hill. Building affordable housing can be incentivized by our city as a top priority to allow for the influx of young working families to our city. And a streamlined ADU process is already a new beneficial development here today. Capital projects and infrastructure. Work continues in these areas, and new projects such as a new comprehensive streetscape are in their initial stages. Sustainability. We must do our part to protect our environment for our children and grandchildren, and accept the reality that programs must be implemented locally to combat climate change, which, if we have witnessed, exposes Auburn to an increased risk of fire danger with each passing year. This council has already initiated work toward this objective in the formation of the Sustainability Advisory Committee. Finally, while it is our collective responsibility to maintain our small town charm, we must also be aware of the need to incentivize smart growth for Auburn's continued economic vitality. I am not naive to the fact that at times we may digress into small town politics. However, I propose that we all strive to rise above that. It is my goal and my promise to engage and listen to community members as to the best path forward. This council will listen more than talk. This council will engage, support, and delegate more than dictate. This council has the talent and experience and backing to do great things for our city. Again, thank you again for this great opportunity to serve you, and God bless our city and God bless all of you. And finally, I want to invite everyone to come to my house at the conclusion. So thank you, everybody. This meeting is now adjourned.
Swearing at your mother.